Okay, we should be all set to go. Are you ready, sister?
I'm ready.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hamza Reed, and I'm the Director of Operations here at the Multicultural Center. And I'd like to welcome you all to Family First Center's weekly webinar. This happens every Wednesday. Alhamdulillah, now presented in cooperation with ISGH and Anissa Hope Center. Again, this is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. The format usually consists of a short presentation followed by question and answer session at the end, where we will field questions below for the audience. So if you have any questions, please submit them into the chat box below. Today's topic is Sleep Better, Live Better, and will be presented by Sister Shahrzad Yekta. A little information about Sister Shahrzad. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, behavioral health consultant and coach, over 8 years of experience. Some of her areas of expertise include couples counseling, adolescent counseling, family counseling, trauma, crisis management, depression, and anxiety management. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Sister Shahrzad.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be back again for another presentation this month. Thank you for having me. And I thought, what better topic? I've been wanting to actually talk about this topic since the beginning in March, beginning of the pandemic, because I've been talking about it as being one of the basic things that we need to really pay attention to, because our sleep matters right now more than ever, because our sleep affects our physical health, it affects our mental health, our emotional well-being. Sleep is the time when we are able to, some research has shown that sleep is a time when our body and brain really cleanses itself. So it helps with we've been talking about boosting your immune system, and getting enough sleep is one of the most important things that we need to be doing for our immune system. So I thought, what better topic, and really, frankly, what better time, because there is so much noise around, there is so many uncertain things right now happening in our country, that I felt now would be the time to talk about this, because we all should be at least trying to get a decent amount of sleep, hopefully a restful sleep every night. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really going through how to pay more attention to your sleep habits, and also how to hopefully, what are some steps that we can take to have better sleep hygiene. So unfortunately, about 50 to 70 million people in America suffer from some sort of sleep disorder. Now, a lot of people who have issues with sleep sometimes, identify themselves as having insomnia. However, I'd like to kind of make that distinction that insomnia is a chronic condition, and you have to have sleep issues for more than 3 nights per week, and also have it you prolong for more than 3 months and be causing issues in your daily life. Now, I understand that some of you may be saying, well, we've been having this for a couple of months now. However, it's important to look at the situational context of your sleep issues. So as I go through these sleep hygiene steps, please just be mindful that what we are living through and the stress that we are experiencing can have an effect on your sleep. So we have to be mindful of that, so that way what to look for, and what may be the issue that you're experiencing. So it's also another part of a big part of sleep, and the issue with sleep in culture is that also sometimes, in our culture, it may be that sleep is looked at as something like for example, with teens, sleep is often used as a punishment. Like it's time to go to sleep now. So we phrase it as if it's a punishment. We never talk about the importance of sleep for teenagers. Or sometimes we look at sleep as laziness, because we are such a culture that has so much work ethic. So we look at sleep as if it's considered laziness, and that is also another wrong way to basically frame sleep. And so we have to first and foremost learn how to relax about sleep, because sleep can become a very stressful act. And it's not supposed to be an act. It's supposed to come very naturally to us. It's part of our, biology that we need the sleep. However, it's become an act, and sometimes it can become stressful as a result of that. So I wanted to go through these steps of sleep hygiene now, just to kind of go through some of the things that we're able to do to help ourselves better sleep. So an adult on average, there's a question always like, what's the magic number with sleep? And some people say 8 hours of sleep, but for adults, it's anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on the person. But they do say that anything less than 7 hours of sleep in a prolonged period of time can really have health effects for you, with many forms and different kinds of diseases, and also mental health issues as well. And for teenagers, it's 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And as if you have a teenager, that teenagers like to stay up late, and then if they are going to school, they have to get up early. So it's not really optimal for them to. It's not really possible for them to get that much sleep, but optimal sleep for them would be 8 to 10 hours. And some of the things that we can do to basically start to be more relaxed around sleep, or look at sleep as a not as an act, but as something that we actually need, a very basic things in our day-to-day life that we need, is that we need to start paying attention to our sleep timeline. So if you are having issues with sleep, for example, meaning you have so when I mention issues with sleep, it could be having a hard time falling asleep, which is very common, waking up frequently at night, or waking up super early when you don't really need to, or waking up really late when you actually, or not feeling tired throughout the day, waking up late and not having energy. So we need to pay attention to our sleep timeline and see, because every person's timeline might look a little bit different, especially now that so many people might be at home and not have that rigid schedule of having to wake up to go to work, or wake up, to have to be at school at a certain time, and everything is done online. That maybe that sleep timeline might be off. But the best thing that we can do is to make sure that we have a consistent sleep schedule for ourselves. So whatever time that you pick for yourself, have that be the time frame, and you stick to that. If you're having sleep issues, it's important to have a sleep schedule. So a timeline that you set for yourself, from the time that you wind down for bed, and the time that you actually go to bed, and then how much time you spend sleep, and then what time do you plan to get up, and so on. So really, our sleep hygiene starts from the moment that we wake up. So what do I mean by that? I mean that from the moment that you wake up, you sort of set the tone for the day, and how you go throughout the day sets the tone for how you're able to sleep. So if you haven't had enough sleep or restful sleep the night before, then you're more likely to go throughout the day with less energy. You're probably going to be more moody throughout the day. You may not be able to get the things that you need done, and so on. So it starts to create some issues for you, and also stresses you out throughout the day, for thinking about just being sleepy, or thinking about I wasn't able to get enough sleep the night before, so same problem might happen tonight, and that starts to kind of go into the cycle of stress about sleep. So be mindful of your sleep timeline, and then also remember that it starts the first thing when you wake up. So one of the things that we can do throughout throughout the day, from the moment that we wake up, is to expose ourselves to enough sunlight or enough light in general. Our bodies are designed in a way to wake up with sunlight and then wind down when the light, when the sun goes down. So throughout the day, get out as much as possible, especially if you're spending a lot of time at home right now. It is very important for your sleep, for better sleep, for you to expose yourself to light. So step outside in your yard, go for a walk. If you have a balcony, maybe go in the balcony. Expose yourself to natural light throughout the day to help yourself sleep better at night. It's something very simple that we can all do and actually helps, better sleep throughout the night. And then light exercise. Exercising is something that everyone talks about, and it's something that is talked about a lot, and not a lot of research is done on it as to how it helps, but everybody knows that it helps. Everybody, experts on sleep, everyone talks about how much light exercise can help with sleeping better. So going for a walk throughout the day, being more active, exercising in any way that you like throughout the day can help you sleep better. Something to watch out for with exercise is you don't want to exercise very heavy close to your sleep time. So if you're somebody who likes to go to the gym, for example, and if you are having problems with sleep, it is not recommended for you to, go to the gym, for example, really late at night, because that, initiates hormones in your body to keep you awake. And then if you're having trouble with sleep, then that's going to exacerbate that. So you might want to just, I would say 3 to 4 hours before your sleep time to not do any heavy exercising. And then what we eat also throughout the day and when we eat also can affect our sleep a lot. So there is a lot of, I'm not going to get into what kinds of foods and, what type of foods really helps us sleep, because that is, there's different kinds of articles and talks out there about it. So I'm not going to get into that. However, it does matter what we eat. Having a balanced diet really helps, because it helps our body's digestion. And then also when we eat. So we don't want to eat too late at night or too close to our sleep time. Eating a heavy meal, it might actually make you feel heavy enough. Like some people like to, snack, like midnight snacks, and eat something right before they go to bed, because that makes them feel heavy and more comfortable. It might actually make you sleepy, but it doesn't give you restful sleep, because when you go to sleep, your metabolism slows down. But if you eat something, then that means your body is signaled to, okay, you got to work because something just entered the body. So your body doesn't get the rest that it needs. So try to eat at least 3 to 4 hours before your sleep time. So that way your body has the time to digest, and then you can have a better nighttime sleep. Something that I recommend, because some people might start to feel a little bit hungry or think that they're hungry right before the bed. Drinking a glass of water can always help, because sometimes we are actually not hungry, but we're thirsty, or our body might be dehydrated. So that's just something to try, and drink a glass of water instead of grabbing, a snack right before bedtime. And then another thing is caffeines and alcohol. Those two things are also some things to be avoided if you are having sleep issues. Now, caffeine is one of those things. So personally, like for me, caffeine doesn't affect my sleep, because my body digests caffeine a little bit differently. Caffeine is something to, if you are in fact a tea drinker or a coffee drinker, then you want to kind of test it out and see if you are someone that breaks down caffeine, your body breaks down caffeine very slowly, then 6 to 9 hours before your sleep time is what they recommend. Oh, sorry. 6 to 9 hours before your bedtime is what is recommended for you to have your last caffeinated drink. If you're someone who can, drink 2 espresso shots and go right to bed and have a restful sleep, then good for you. But if you don't, 6 to 9 hours is really the number they recommend for you to not have. Instead, you can maybe substitute, if you like to have a warm drink before bedtime, which some people report that that helps them relax before bedtime. You can have some people like to have a warm glass of milk before bed, or maybe you can make a tea that's decaffeinated and also helps, is soothing, whatever it is. But caffeine is something that can affect your sleep time. Another sleep quality, not sleep time, sorry. Well, sleep time as well, I guess, if you can't fall asleep because of caffeine. Another thing is that you've probably heard of a lot of, maybe from your doctor or maybe from other people, a supplement that is taken for sleep is melatonin. So melatonin is actually something that our body naturally produces. It's that feeling you get as let's say you're watching TV and all of a sudden you feel your eyes become very heavy and you feel like you can't stay up. That is melatonin building up in your body. And our body naturally produces melatonin throughout the day, and then it builds up to where we feel sleepy at night. Now, melatonin is also, I just want to put the disclaimer out, if you are taking any medications, if you're having any issues, or in general, always talk to your doctor before taking any supplements. But melatonin is talked about a lot. It's just something you can discuss with your doctor and see if you're having sleep issues, is that something that you can supplement yourself with so that you can sleep better. Another thing, I'm actually going to leave this for last because I was going to talk about the blue light, but I'll leave that for the last thing because it's just, I think that's the thing right now that is keeping a lot of us awake. Something else that can help with our sleep hygiene and sleeping better is to keep the room that we sleep in cooler than usual, cooler than throughout the day. The point is for our body to be cooler, and also as dark as possible. Light and temperature affect our sleep. So I know some people don't like to sleep cold, and the point of it is not for you to be freezing, but the point of it is for it to be 1 to 2 degrees lower than what your body temperature is throughout the day. So for example, it depends. I don't want to give a specific temperature that's ideal. You have to find that ideal temperature for yourself. But in general, the cooler it is, the better you're going to sleep, and the darker it is, the better, because light actually can stimulate the brain. So the darker that it is, the better that you're able to sleep, which is why a lot of people like to wear the eye masks and whatnot. So and also, we are all very stressed out right now. There's different things going on, and stress, the good old stress, is a big factor in why many people cannot sleep well. So there is a lot going on. There may be a lot that you're stressing about. Maybe your kids, yourself, your family, our health, lots of things that tend to come to our minds at nighttime. And it's like throughout the day, you're going about your day, even if you have nothing else to do, it's like you're fine. And then as soon as you go to bed and you decide, I want to get some rest, all the thoughts just come rushing in. And that's something that you've probably heard many people say, that just their thoughts come at nighttime. And I once heard somebody say this, and I thought it makes a lot of sense. That if we don't have time, or if we don't give ourselves time throughout the day to process our stress, what's stressing us out, or what's going on in our lives, if we don't give ourselves time to process that, and then at nighttime, when we finally give our brain a chance to rest, all of those thoughts come to our mind to really want to be processed. It's like, okay, now you're relaxing, so it's time to think about me. But it's really not the time, because you're trying to you're trying to get some rest, and really there's nothing you can do at that point. So one thing I would say to that is, and again, this is, I'm talking about this stress in very general terms, because it could be related to many different things. So just, apply that as needed to your situation. But it's good for you to spend some time during the day about the things that you worry about, to think about them, find solutions for them, get help for them. If it's something that's totally out of your control, to remind yourself of that and be mindful of the fact that it's out of your control. The fact that we have a pandemic is out of our control. There's nothing we can do. There's only certain things that we can do about it. So spend some time throughout the day to think about those things, the intruding thoughts that come to you at nighttime. However, they might still come on at night again, to be, to remind you. One habit that I like and I do recommend to a lot of people is that maybe as a part of your sleep time routine, you can have a journal by your bedside to write down some of those recurring thoughts that come to you at night. And remember that those are just thoughts. They're passing thoughts. They come to you. They don't mean anything, meaning that they're not there to, because sometimes we give meanings like, why is this happening? What, that at nighttime, those thoughts are just coming through your mind. So you can just be aware of them. You can write them down if it's helpful to you. And that's a way of just sort of, acknowledging them, and also saying, there's nothing I can do at this moment. I'm trying to get some sleep. Tomorrow, maybe I can do something, but right now, just trying to get some rest. So journaling before bedtime is a good habit, that I recommend if it's helpful to you. And also, to recognize, sometimes not sometimes, most of the time, when we try to push something away from our thought, it becomes even more persistent, and it stays on. So just acknowledge those thoughts that come to you at night. And, if you can take a few deep breaths, remind yourself that, tomorrow I will get to this. If it's something that's stressing, I'm going to try to process this tomorrow or the next day. Right now, I can't do anything, as opposed to stressing yourself out and making yourself even feel bad about, why am I thinking this? Why is this? Why do these thoughts keep coming to me at nighttime and not letting me sleep? This also goes hand in hand with what I was talking about, making sleep time a stressful time for ourselves, especially if you're having a hard time, with sleep. Then sleep time it can be a stressful time for you. Like, it's not something you're looking forward to, because you know what's coming. And this way, if you acknowledge it and you just don't let it, become this dreadful time for you, then that you can help yourself. You acknowledge it, that it's there, but you also acknowledge the fact that there's nothing I can do at midnight about this, but tomorrow I'll get to it. And then last but not least, that I kept this for the last thing, because I think, we are all affected by it. We have been affected by it even before the pandemic, but now it's worse than ever, is blue light, which is basically your computer, your phone, TV, and everything that you watch on a screen that absolutely affects your sleep quality, your sleep hygiene, and everything related to that. If you, again, I mentioned this, if you are one of those people that can fall asleep watching TV, great, and you don't have issues sleeping. However, if you are having issues with sleep, then reducing your blue light intake, or limiting the time, like setting a time when you shut everything off, and dim the lights in your home, and don't look at your TV, your phone, or your computer, is very, very essential. Something that's out there in the market right now that I actually I do have, but I don't use it as much. And I've heard a lot of people say that helps them, is these blue lights glasses, which basically block out the blue light, that, you can find them for very cheap as well. So if you're somebody that maybe has to work late into the night, you could maybe use one of those. But otherwise, it is very essential for us to turn the screens off I would say at least an hour before the time you plan to fall asleep. Another reason that's very important, which is not related to the blue light, is because of the amount of information that we consume through those screens. So if you're watching the news or reading the news or consuming the news in any way, shape, or form, picture, article, whatever it may be, cut it off an hour before your sleep time. Give yourself time to wind down. Reading the news, watching the news, watching your friends, news feed, it does not help you wind down. It helps you wind up. It helps you, not helps, but it has the opposite effect. And you've probably felt it maybe more than ever in the past week. As you're reading stuff, just pay attention to your heart rate. Pay attention to your heart rate. If your heart rate is going up, then that's a bad sign. You're not going to be able to sleep with your heart rate going up. So cut those screens, cut the news time off at night. I've been saying this since the beginning. We all need to be very, very hyper vigilant about how we are consuming the news right now, because there is a lot going on. So give yourself time throughout the day to get this news that you need in the way that you need. But when you need rest, when it's time for you to rest, which is as important for you to stay important, these two things are super important for you to be able to get the rest so that you can consume and do the things that you need to do throughout the day. So an hour before your sleep time, before the time that you want to be falling asleep, I would say is the best time for you to, cut out the news or cut out the screen time, basically. Dim the lights. And the point of me talking about all of these things about sleep hygiene is that you want to create a relaxing environment for yourself before you go to bed or before you sleep. Whatever that may look like, whatever it is that helps you relax is the thing you need to be doing before your bedtime. Some people like, aromatherapy. Some people like, having some sort of a calming, relaxing smell that helps them fall asleep. If that doesn't help you, don't do it, because it doesn't. Some people get a headache with very strong smells, no matter what it is. Some people like to have calming music on, so do that if that helps you. Some people like absolute quiet, so you can use earplugs if that's what you need. Create a calming environment, create a calming bedroom to sleep in for yourself, whatever that looks like. There is no one recipe that can be given to every single person and say, follow this, you're going to get good sleep. No, everyone needs to look at their own life, their own circumstances, what's available to them. I was very mindful of including things that don't require you. Like, I'm not going to talk about you getting a brand new comfortable mattress, because that's not something that's feasible for everybody to do that. For a lot of us, like, you can't do that, but you can absolutely step outside and get some sunlight throughout the day, because that helps you sleep better. You can absolutely cut off screen time before bedtime to help yourself sleep better. So those things are very important. And also, if you have children, I have one thing, the only recommendation that I heard about actually recently that can be very helpful, because if you have children, then your sleep also depends on how well your children sleep as well. And I found an app that was very interesting and had a lot of calming exercises and sleep time relaxation stuff for kids, and it's called Moshi, Moshi. And I thought it would be helpful. It's something helpful for parents to just have in their pocket, so to help kids also, because all of these things that I talked about are also important for you to do for your kids. Kids also need time to wind down. So if they're playing, that stimulates them a lot, or eating things that stimulates them a lot right before bedtime, they're not going to have restful sleep. They're more likely to wake up in the middle of the night and wake you up in the middle of the night. So you want to practice these things even with them, to actually teach them how to sleep better. So that's all I had for today. I am ready for questions if there are any, and I'll see if I remember something that maybe I forgot to mention.
Sister Shahrzad, thank you for that informative presentation. Now we will start the question and answer session in our webinar. So if you have any questions, please submit them in the chat box below. I had a lot of questions, Sister Shahrzad, but you like answered almost all of them. Like every time I had a question, you answered it. So alhamdulillah, it was very good. What are some tricks to ensure a most restful sleep if you are consistently stressed throughout the day, especially during the pandemic?
One thing I that's important that I actually forgot to say is that if you go to bed and you're not able to fall asleep and you're just tossing and turning and thoughts, as much as you acknowledge them, are not going away, get out of bed. Don't stay in bed struggling for more than 5 minutes to fall asleep. That's an important topic it's an important tip to remember. Now, I'm not saying get out of bed, go turn on the TV until you get sleepy. No, you can get out of the bed, maybe, go sit in a chair somewhere and, takes a few deep breaths or process whatever thought is whatever is not allowing you to wind down. And then when you're ready, go back to bed. You don't want your bed to become a place of work. So don't work from bed. Don't stay in bed working with your laptop. And you also don't want your bedroom and your bed to become this stressful place of dread when every night you're like, oh God, it's sleep time again. All the thoughts are gonna come. And that we think that, like, I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep. If you have trouble sleeping, you have thought those things. So if you stay up more than 5 minutes, get out of bed and sit in a chair, do a few relaxing, breathing, maybe, drink a glass of water. And then when you're ready, go back to bed. Now, with the pandemic and sleep, it's very complicated because there is so much going on, and we have good reason to be stressed out, and we have good reason to not lose sleep, really. If you think about it, if you've lost your job, if a family member is sick, if you're worried about your kids and what's going to happen with their school, you have good reasons to worry. But you also have to keep mindfulness about your rest is one of the most important things that you need to do right now. Be mindful that if you want to get better, if you want to be able to find another job or have the clarity to even know what next step to take, if you want to have the clarity and concentration that you need to be able to help a family member that needs your help, you need rest. You cannot go without sleep and expect yourself to get better if you are sick, or expect yourself to be able to help somebody else when you are not doing well. If you haven't had enough sleep, then you're moodier, you are tired, physically tired, you're not able to do your work, and all of the things that comes with that, and you're not able to do those things that you want to do. So remind yourself, I need this rest. You are not lazy if you sleep 8 hours to 9 hours a day and then wake up and look for a job. You are not considered lazy. You don't need to be staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning looking for jobs if you've lost your job, because that doesn't mean you're going to find something. It just means you're running yourself out of fuel. And then the next day, you're going to dread everything. So give yourself the rest time. No matter what your cause and what your fight is these days, you need the rest as much as you need the fight. So I think that's been the most important thing that I've been reminding people and myself, that you need the rest as much as you need the fight. You need the rest to be able to fight. You cannot do it without, they go hand in hand. So it's super important now more than ever. If I were to say, now that the pandemic is here, we are all stressed out about one thing or another, it's more important than ever for us to be able to rest. It's one of those basic things, alongside being able to eat well and having our basics met. This is one of those most important things that we need.
Very good. Very good tips, especially, there's so many people who try to put themselves to sleep and they toss and they turn, and they don't think about getting up and just sitting down and thinking about those thoughts and maybe putting them in a journal and trying to go back to sleep. So it's a very good point.
Something else I wanted to mention, the things that I talk about is obviously not everything I mentioned, as I said, is going to work for everybody, but also just remember, if you're having these issues, like if you had these issues before the pandemic started and before any of these, then maybe your problem is more chronic, and absolutely talk to your doctor about what options that you have. If you know that your problem is there because of it's very like stress related, or maybe that you've been just having very depressed mood and it's related to that, talk to your doctor, see what other options you have. Maybe you need to get outside help. So none of this is to say that you won't need that. I'm just saying these are important things. If you're having sleep issues, you owe it to yourself to try one of these things, to be mindful and look at your sleep pattern and your schedule throughout the day and see what are you doing that maybe you could tweak to help yourself with your sleep at night, because you need it. So if you feel like it's just more chronic and it's really affecting your day, like you're not able to do your job at all, or you're not taking care of your children like you need to, which those are, like, I think the more heartbreaking stories that we hear, people who are not able to take care of their kids and they want to, but they're just so fatigued. Absolutely go to your doctor if you can and talk with them, or get help however you can with that.
Very good. What are some more health detriments that you can look out for when you're consistently not getting enough restful sleep?
Are you saying what it could lead to, or what?
Well, yeah, exactly. What are the things that you can look out for, like serious health detriments that could affect you from not getting good sleep?
So something I would say, first thing I would say is, if you feel like you've been getting like okay amount of sleep at night,
Mhm.
and then you're not seeing the result that you want throughout the day, like you're still feeling very fatigued, you're still feeling very tired, maybe you're yawning all day, and you're just not, like, you don't have the energy level that you feel like you should have for the amount of sleep that you're relatively getting. If you can, I would say definitely check in with your doctor, that maybe there is something else, physiological going on that they need to check for, and it's not really related to your sleep. So that's what I would say. The second thing is, I mean, with sleep, there is so much research and studies that have been done that's been led to, poor sleep leads to diabetes, all the stuff that's unfortunately very high in our country, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity. When we have poor sleep, we actually tend to emotional eat more, or we just eat more as a result of staying up more, or we feel more hungry when we don't get enough sleep. So it can lead to a variety of issues. But I think it's also, that's why I think I want the most important thing for me, for that I want people to take away, is that pay attention to your sleep patterns, and then pay attention to your body as a result of your sleep habits, because then you will learn so much about yourself. And then, like, nobody knows better than you what kind of conditions you have, if you're taking medications for something, how you run throughout the day. So becoming mindful of that is the most important step that you can take, just like anything else, to actually first learn about yourself. Like, how is this affecting me? Like, if I have high blood pressure, and I'm running on, like, I don't know, 4 hours of sleep every night, like, how is this going to affect my blood pressure? It's going to affect it. If
Yes.
you don't have enough sleep and you're fatigued, or you're anxious all throughout the day for that sleep, it's going to affect your blood pressure. Another thing I would mention is aging. Like, people as we age, we tend to get less quality sleep. There's so many different things that comes to that. So as we, people in older age groups tend to also have a lot more health complications that could, sleep affects that, and that their conditions can also affect their sleep. So that's something, if you're living with elderly, also be mindful of that, because it can affect them. And there are things that you can help, to just also help them at least have more relaxing environments to get the best sleep that's possible, you know, because sometimes there are different things that interfere with our sleep that's really, you know, out of our control, like pain, for example. If you have pain, then that's discomfort, and that's not, you know, that doesn't allow you to, you know, sleep well at night. Or another one that I hear a lot from people I know is restless leg syndrome. You hear people talk about that a lot, and you get that at night. This is a myth, but I think I'm pretty sure it's a myth, but like a lot of times it's like, oh, we get up and we eat something and then it goes away. But restless leg syndrome is a lot more than just, you know, that. So that can actually have, you know, the reverse effect if you think about that. But, you know, helping them have more relaxing environments. So maybe giving a massage, like a leg massage, or relaxing their feet in a way before they go to sleep can help them, you know, with that as well. So there's just different kinds of things, and every person has to look at their own situation, their own context, their own health, to figure out what is best for me to do to have better sleep. And the things that I talked about are just a few things that you know, people can take into consideration.
Mhm. Okay, and the last question, can CBD or cannabinoid oil be used to help you sleep? Is it safe?
So it's been talked about that actually on the either on the Sleep Foundation website, or I think it's the American Association of Sleep Disorders that I think mentions CBD and how it can help with sleep. It's something that I don't have enough expertise on that to mention. It has, the only thing I can say is that it has been mentioned to help sleep for some people, especially I would think for pain, people who experience a lot of pain. If it helps with the pain, that it's going to help with the you know, with the sleep. But I have also heard and read about it, you know, helping with sleep. It's something I would say, especially if it's more of a chronic condition, maybe something to just consider talking to your doctor about, or talking to someone that you trust, will tell you the true information that you need, or if you can read more about it online. Because the thing about CBD right now is that it's fairly, the research on it is fairly new. There is a lot of talk about it. And then there is also the other piece of people using this opportunity to sell you stuff. So be mindful of that. You don't want to be, I hate for anyone to be scammed into getting stuff that doesn't work, and it's just, you know, something that you're going to be scammed out of your money. So do a little bit of research on that. Maybe you could, even if your doctor is open enough to talk about that, you never know, talk to them and see what they recommend. But I have heard about it, you know, and read about it helping with sleep and pain. So, you know, I think it's if you've tried everything else and nothing has worked, then it's something to maybe look into.
Jazakallah khair. I'd like to sincerely thank Sister Shahrzad for her important and impactful presentation. And thank you all for tuning in to Family First Center's weekly webinar. Be sure to meet us here each week, where we will be discussing a different topic every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, everyone.